Hello guys, I'm going to tell you about where I am socially as a conservative. Because this is for people on my outreach to or might discover my channel, so you don't have like misconceptions about me. But where am I socially? And also, here's some so yeah, this is coming from the main man of the channel. Hello. Okay, so socially I'm actually libertarian, if y'all didn't know that. I am not left. I am libertarian because I'm more for doing things. Like I've come to that realization over like I'd say this month, pretty recently, but I'm not socially leftist. The issue with socially leftist ideas is they come from neo-Marxism, and they just come from just fallacious and bad ideas, and they come from a standpoint of just tolerance as the only. Really tolerance and equality being the only really thing driving a society, which is not going to work. But yeah. Okay, like, here's my thoughts on the Pride community, whatever you call them. I'm fine with people like LGB. That's what I say now. However, I do not like things like the gender identity ideology, or whatever you call it. I don't like it because it's subjective garbage it's just really mid-witted, pedantic nonsense nobody should care about. And the only case I'd support it is if it was an estate exchange, and if there was an acknowledgement that you shouldn't use aggression to get society to accept it. You know. And, so yeah. Now here is the thing. I am anti-abortion, but hear me out. I am against it not really because of Christian stuff, but because it promotes irresponsibility, and plus it will drive degeneracy. Because, I'm for freedom of the sexual stuff. I'm actually getting more and more for that. However, I think abortion drives degeneracy and it's irresponsible. What I think the solution is improving the adoption and foster care system. And promoting, and doing that. Or hell, inventing technology to have the baby maybe be outside the womb. And have another parent have it, have the baby, I'm for that. However, I hate conservatives and people who use it to push control and just bullshit. I hate that. And just so y'all know, I'm not like the old Jaden Lloyd Maldives. I'm not like the anti-Therian. No, I don't do that shit anymore. I'm fine. I've gotten fine with the alt stuff now because I've realized it's fine. I've become more socially libertarian because I think their ideas have gotten infested by leftist garbage. And just so y'all know, if people want to accuse me of being a fascist or bigot or whatever, I'm not fascist. I read The Doctrine of Fascism, which I might reread it. I am going to try to reread. I am going to, at some point, reread over it to make sure I fully understand it. But just so y'all know, I don't agree with collectivist ideologies like that. They're reification fallacies, and they're completely wrong. Now, socially, I do believe you need a society with politeness and good values and morals. You don't need to be an asshole or a moron. However, you do need a society willing to cooperate with each other. And when it comes to the disabled, I think charity and the free market is the solution to that, to make it cheaper. I don't think more welfare is the solution, though. As an autistic and ADHD person as myself, and also as an autistic and ADHD person socially, I am pissed off with my community right now. They've got infested with woke ideology. Not because of weird people. They just got infested with that garbage, which is why I'm not really in any of these communities. And I do not feel oppressed as one, socially, and I'm fine with other conservatives. And also I do, and here's the thing as a conservative, I disagree with the Puritarians that say don't let people be weird or whatever. I disagree with that bullshit. Here's the thing. Don't be a moron in society. Don't be a nuisance, and you're fine with me. And don't be promoting bullshit. You deserve to be shamed if you do that. You know? So yeah. I've come to where I've gotten away from, like, conservatives, socially conservative. So I'm fine with families and stuff. You need to build a society off of that. But shaming people for doing families is bad. But calling out bad behavior and parenting in families is fine. Socially, I am for youth rights. More of them. Like self-defense from abuse. So I'll look more into that, and I might make my own video on that. No promises, though, my brain. But I might... But yeah. You know, and I'm for freedom. For more freedom. You know. Well, with the... I don't know. And I think communities are good. And also, I'm fine with communities and that. And churches, all that. I'm fine with that. Sorry if I'm kind of rambling. I'm kind of disconnected. I'm sorry about that. Bear with me. So, yeah. That's where I am. I'm socially libertarian. You know. And I'm fine with families. But just don't be a moron to your kids, and I'm fine with you. And don't be doing the same Puritarian nonsense that got us with woke ideology. Truthfully, I kind of see where the leftists are coming from. There's one thing I agree with them, is youth rights and not being a bad parent. Socially, yes, I agree with them somewhat on that. Even if they're being disingenuous, I do agree. Because, well, I think where they're doing it from is just neo-Marxism. But where I do it from is, yeah, it's great to be calling out that stuff. You know. So, yeah. So, what about the modesty when it comes to that kind of stuff? Okay, when it comes to clothing and kind of that stuff socially as a culture, don't be a total degenerate in front of kids. And dress professionally if you need to at like places like a wedding or that. But if the job is fine with you not dressing that way, that's fine. Or if the event is fine with you not dressing that way, that's fine. However, that doesn't mean we just have some Puritarian garbage. No. No. So yeah, I am socially libertarian. So if like anybody sees conservative, don't be alarmed. I'm not a boogeyman. Us conservatives are not a boogeyman. So yeah, I just want to kind of clarify some stuff.